Welcome to Firearms of America. Today, as you guys can see, I am back here again with another LaSpEVA product. And let's see what it is. These are LaSpEVA Wildcat. Now, I have to tell you, I am very impressed with these trail running shoes. They are absolutely awesome. The only problem with them is they do run a little bit on the smaller side. Keep that in mind. If you're buying them, you're not going to be disappointed with their performance. Just make sure to be prepared, to send them back and get a different size until you find that right size that fits you. I would probably go with the whole size bigger on these ones. All right, so let's start the review. As some of you already know, this review is specifically for my ultimate survival boots section. And I know these are not boots, these are trail running shoes, but what if you were wearing these shoes? You were trail running or doing something and something bad happened, right? I don't know. 2020 has been pretty crazy, so I am sure you have a lot imagination whenever it comes to the survival situations. If you were never a prepper before 2020, in 2020 you're definitely a prepper. All right, and you were wearing these shoes, right? And you had to run, you had to fight on the way, walk extended periods of time to get to safety, climb, I don't know, do whatever that is necessary to survive, right? Would these be good shoes to survive in? All right, how do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Let's begin the review. Criterion number 1, of course, the comfort level, one of the most important ones. And like I said, I am overall very impressed with these shoes, including the comfort. Of course, there are a few factors that contribute and take away from the comfort level. Let's start with one of the more important ones, the weight. Now, the weight of these shoes, this is size 10 by the way, 12.6, which is, let me tell you guys, is very impressive for a trail running shoe. Now, whenever I do my review, to give you kind of a reference number to judge by whether this is a lot or not, if you don't know the weight, if you want something that will allow you to run for extended periods of time, walk for extended periods of time without feeling the fatigue from the weight on your feet, you want something under 20 ounce. And these ones are almost half 20 ounce, 12.6. Very impressive, very good weight. Now, in order to test all the shoes and boots, everything I get on this channel, well, shoe wear, I do a 3-mile run and then a 5-mile walk right after without stopping, no pauses in between. And then I continue wearing the shoes for the total wear time is about 7 to 8 hours, including the run and the walk. And like I said, these are definitely, with that lightweight of a shoe, you barely even notice it that you're wearing something. But there are a few other factors that contribute to the comfort level. One of them is the inner sole. And I have to say, the inner sole here is on the tougher side, right? It's not as cushiony. It's firmer than you will find most. However, because you do have overall cushiony inside, there is a jelly layer on the inside, and because this rubber, as you can see, it does give you some sort of amortization, right? Whenever you're running, you do have overall enough stuff to give you that impact protection, right? Even though the inner sole is not very cushiony. But I do like it overall because it does have a shape to it. It has a heel pad, which helps to keep your foot in place, especially whenever you're running. But let's move on. There's another factor that I like about these shoes. It is the flexibility of the bottom sole. And as you can see, the bottom sole is actually very flexible, and that allows you to run properly in these shoes, which is very important, without putting any stress on your ankles and on your knees. Another quick thing that I wanted to mention here briefly is that it does have this support system going, and you definitely do feel that it helps you with that overall stability whenever you're running. overall very good system. And of course the very final one is, because the material here is very soft on the inside, you do have a thin layer of the cushioning. It adds up to the comfort level. It gives you that nice wraparound feeling. Now, one thing to mention here about the fitment is that these shoes do fit nice and snug. I know there are some people out there who prefer to have a wider toe box, more space in the toe box. If you're one of those people, you might not be very happy with these, but I recommend, whenever it comes to trail running shoes, I do recommend stuff that fits nice and snug, that holds your foot in place, where your foot doesn't wobble around, because that's not what you want whenever it comes to the trail running and hiking stuff. Overall, like I said, very impressed with the comfort level of the shoes. Just make sure to get them in the right size. Alright, let's move on to the criteria number 2, proofing and protection. Now, proofing wise, can't really say a lot about these. They don't have any kind of waterproofing to them. However, whenever it comes to the protection, I wanted to point out something very smart that LaSpEVA implemented here, is this toe protection guard. I do like it a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still soft, right? This is still fairly soft rubber, so it's not going to protect you from some serious impact. But whenever it comes to the trails, if you're running through the trails, some light sticks, some small rocks, this is very good, and especially because it goes all the way out here, I do like it a lot. But not much else, aside from the outsole protection. Obviously harder rubber, which we will talk later in the outsole, but obviously no ankles. Not much in the heel, although, like I said, it is reinforced. So, let's move on to the criteria number 3, quality and the design features. Now, quality-wise, LaSpEVA is one of the top preferred brands whenever it comes to hiking, trail running stuff, mountaineering. I mean, they are huge. And these particular shoes, if you check the link in the description below, it's an Amazon link, you will find more than 250 reviews, 5-star reviews for these shoes. So people do like them a lot, and I mean, I see why. I mean, these shoes are great overall. Now, whenever it comes to the design features, usually here I talk about the lacing system. Honestly, this is one of the things that I'm not a huge fan of overall. It's just my personal preference. I'm not a fan of the lacing system with material fabric hooks. In my opinion, it's not as smooth to, tighten it and release it, so it takes a little bit more time to put them on and take them off. Not a huge deal, but whenever it comes to the trail running shoes, my personal preference is the quick lace system or a BOA system, obviously, which would run much more expensive, but I think that's something worth investing into. So I wish to see these shoes with a BOA system or the quick lace system. But let's move on to the criteria number 4, one of the more important ones, the outsole traction and stability. Now, this outsole is absolutely fantastic. I cannot tell you how awesome it is. Whenever I do my run and walk, I test my shoes, boots, on the variety of different surfaces. I start with older asphalt, going to the newer tarmac, and then I go into the sand. There is a lake nearby my house, so I test them on the wet sand, on the dry sand, and then I go into the trail, just your typical trail surface with a mix of sandy, muddy, sticks, stones, whatever, right? And then I go into the rocky road and I finish up on the marble and tile. And let me tell you guys, this outsole performs very well on literally everything you throw at it. Yes. And it's all thanks to this very nicely designed, very balanced outsole. It has perfect amount of aggression. With these grooves right here, they are very aggressive, so that you have a good grip on stuff like wet grass. And at the same time, there's perfect amount of the flatness too, to give you stable grip on shiny surfaces and sandy surfaces. So whenever you're running through the sand, this outsole does not dig into the sand. Nothing gets stuck in the grooves. so you don't get slippery and don't get any additional weight from stuff getting stuck between the grooves. So overall, very, very good outsole. LaSpEVA, they did fantastic job with this one. Now, the only thing I wish for my ultimate survival personal, right, preference, I wish that there was some ridges on the side of the outsole that would help with climbing a rope, climbing the rocks, climbing the tree, whatever you're climbing, just the ridges here on the sides. But that's really it. That's the only thing, and it's still a personal preference. Overall, fantastic outsole. Let's move on to the criteria number 5 really quickly, which is the temperature. Now, obviously, these are not designed in any way for colder temperatures. They're not waterproof for snow or anything like that. So that's kind of out of the question. But I was testing personally these shoes here in Florida at about 100 degrees weather, and they are very light and very, very breathable. I do absolutely like how breathable they are. Absolutely awesome. Let's move on to the criteria number 6 really quickly. The sizing, like I said in the beginning, they do run on the smaller size. Usually I get all my boots, all my hiking shoes in half a size bigger, so I have a little bit of the extra space in the toe box. That's just a good recommendation that I got from one of my professional hiking friends. So here I would go probably the whole size bigger to have that extra space. Maybe even a size and a half, but again, it really depends. You have to play around with it. It really depends on the toe box, how it fits you, your foot shape. So be prepared to play around with it, but make sure whenever you get your shoes, you have a little bit of that extra space, because that extra space will save you. You want that in your hiking stuff. Alright, so let's move on to the criteria number 7, the balance of application, right? So if this really was your ultimate survival, well, not boot, shoe in this case, you were wearing it and something bad happened, and now you had to survive, would they be good? Would you survive? Well, I personally think if I were wearing any kind of trail running shoes, if I was trail running, let's say, and I was wearing some kind of trail running shoes, I would wish I had these on, because I do absolutely love them. Now, a lot of people, they would say, hey, they're not waterproof or, stuff like that. It really comes down to the personal preference whenever it comes to the waterproofing and the trail running shoes. Now, with hiking boots, yes, waterproofing, I think, is a good feature to have, because you have that extra shaft. You have that enough distance from the ground that if you step in a puddle, you have that distance that protects, and waterproofing matters. Here, you don't really have any of that, so just a tiny little splash of about, 3 inches, you get the water inside, and that's it. And one thing that you have to keep in mind with waterproof boots is that they are less breathable than non-waterproof hiking shoes, like these ones. So if you do end up getting water inside, it takes more time for your shoes on the inside to dry up, and it's not good. So if you're running through, places where there is water, I personally would rather have something like this that I know would dry up quicker, because most likely water will get in there anyway. But again, that's really just a personal preference. Just like with the protection, there isn't really much protection here except maybe from this toe guard. There's obviously no shaft, not much protection in the material at all, but you have all this lightness, and so you will be faster, you will be, no restriction of your movement. So are you the type of person that prefers to be fast and have that lightness on your feet, or are you the type of person that prefers to have all of that protection but sacrificing, obviously, getting more weight? Personal preference, guys. All right, let's move on to the very last criterion. Criterion number 8, the price. $110 currently on Amazon. The link is in the description below. And let me tell you guys, for everything you're getting in these trail running shoes, absolutely fantastic value. I absolutely love these shoes. $110, I think, is a great price for everything you're getting. I think these shoes, literally just like this, they moved on to my top 5 trail running shoes of all the trail running shoes that I have reviewed on this channel. They are this great. I absolutely love them, and for $110 I think that's definitely worth the investment, especially if you're anything serious about trail running or just hiking, you know, just as hiking shoes. What a fantastic option. Now, whenever it comes to the competition in that price range, yes, there are some very awesome trail running shoes out there, like for example Salomon XA Pro 3D V8. Yes, those are pretty awesome, and I reviewed them on this channel too. If you want to check them out, the review is somewhere here. But you know, it's good to have options, right? It's good to have, you know, different choices out there that, you know, you can find the absolutely best for yourself. With these ones, just keep in mind that they do run a little bit on the smaller side. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what you think about this trail running shoes, the hiking shoes review. Would you consider this LaSpEVA Wildcat for your trail running purposes, or would you buy them as your hiking shoes, or would you get them as your ultimate survival, well, shoes in this case? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any requests for reviews, drop them in the comments as well. I always look out for those, and all of them I put on my to-do list, and if I come across stuff, I do that as a priority. I get them as a priority. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Firearms of America. I'll see you guys in the next video.